Hey, this is Holly with the IT department at Compact Power, now a Home Depot company. Due to the Home Depot acquisition, Compact Power is changing FieldOne and other systems to accommodate the new Home Depot policies and procedures. Why the changes? Because Compact Power is transitioning to the Home Depot's payroll, and as such, certain processes are being modified to align with the current Home Depot practices. So first off, we currently use ADP. In the Home Depot, we're using Kronos. It's still a payroll management solution, much like ADP, but we are leaving ADP and moving to Kronos. Secondly, we've always had the ability to manually modify time for our specific user in ADP. In the Home Depot system, it will be read-only access, meaning that users will not be able to go in and modify their time. They'll have to go through their manager and payroll to get that accomplished. Third is lunchtime was not required, and now it is. There's a 30-minute meal break that is required by Home Depot's practices. Fourthly, there's the ability to manually enter reimbursable expenses into ADP. You will be unable to do that in Kronos, and so we've had to modify systems to accommodate these changes. So what is changing? Because it's read-only and people aren't going to be able to manually change their time, employees have a new time card form in FieldOne, which we're going to go over, where they'll clock in, lunch out, clock back in, and then clock out for the day. Lunchtime is now required, a 30-minute meal break at minimum. When an employee clocks out for lunch, they will be unable to clock back in until a full 30 minutes has passed. Also, because we are unable to manually enter reimbursable expenses, there's going to be a reimbursable expense form inside of FieldOne. Inside of your FieldOne application, you will notice at the very top there is now a tab called Time Card. This is where you will come into daily to log your time. It's a very simple form. You're only required to click on the category, select the type of punch that it is. So if this is the beginning of my day, I will select clock in and submit the punch. After it's done loading, you'll be able to see your current punch timestamp and the type of punch it was. Next, I'm going to show you how to clock out for lunch. You now have to take a 30-minute meal break. So once I submit the punch for lunch, I'll see the timestamp that I left for lunch. There is a requirement for a full 30-minute meal break. So if I try to clock back in, it will tell me that I have to wait a full 30 minutes.
Okay, so now that I've waited a full 30 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and select the category clock in to come back from lunch, and I'm going to submit that punch. Okay, so I've now clocked back in, and then finally, when I finish my last job of the day, even before I travel home, I'm going to select clock out. So after you have finished your last job or your last inventory or admin time of the day, go ahead and clock out even if you have not yet traveled home. This completes a full work day. Okay, so remember, I clocked out in my time card as soon as I finished my last job. Once I've completed my travel home, you're actually going to go into a form called Missed Time Punches down here with the clock and the warning sign. So I'm going to launch Missed Time Punches, which is going to take me to a web page. So once I'm at the Missed Time Punch form, I'm just going to select the date using this date field. Select Travel Home. My end time is going to be the time that I left my last job. For instance, if I left my last job at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it would be 5 o'clock plus 45 minutes. So the in time would be 5:45 p.m. And the out time is going to be whatever time I arrived at home. So it's also important to note that the missed time punch form is not solely used for travel home purposes. If there's ever an instance where you forget to log a punch in your time card, you can always enter it in the missed time punch form. Lastly, we're going to talk about reimbursable expenses. It should be rare that you have to use this form, as most employees have company credit cards that should be used. But in the event that you need to log a reimbursable expense, you'll select the tab from FieldOne, select the category, which is hotels, tolls, and things of that nature. Enter an expense amount. Type a note or a brief description of your purchase. Upload a picture of your receipt, and then save your work. This also emails your manager and the payroll department to ensure that you're properly reimbursed for your expenses. Okay guys, so obviously there are a lot of changes around pay and the new Home Depot policies and procedures. If you guys have any questions or concerns, please review the documentation, rewatch the video, ask your regional manager, or call the help desk. Thanks.